Thank you for being here. My name is Kristen Murphy. I'm one of the career counselors in the College of Science and Engineering, and today I'll be just walking you through some information about how to navigate our virtual career fair, which is coming up next Friday, October 7th. Last week, we had our in-person career fair, the first in-person career fair that we'd had in several years at Mariucci Arena. And we welcomed many employers who had a chance to talk with students about internships and jobs and co-ops. So we're very excited that we are able to offer a bonus virtual career fair next Friday, October 7th. It will take place via Handshake, which is the job and internship search platform that the University of Minnesota uses, which you may be familiar with. The event itself will run from 11 in the morning, excuse me, until 4 p.m. And it's a really great chance, I think, especially if you are in the position where you're looking for an internship or a job for this coming summer. Many employers during the fall semester do recruit for positions during the fall. There are options, of course, in spring semester, and we will have an in-person career fair in spring semester that I encourage you to attend. But it's really interesting to see the employer enthusiasm in our virtual career fair spaces and in hiring CSE students for summer positions this early in the year. One thing to note is that people have different reasons for going to a career fair, and certainly one of them is to find an internship or find a job. That's certainly, very reasonable expectation is to find something. However, we also know that most students don't find a job or a career or an internship at the career fair. They may be invited for an interview from the career fair, but I like to think about it as an opportunity for students to be able to learn more about what an employer is looking for, to understand the hiring process a little bit more clearly, and just to become very familiar with the different kinds of opportunities that are available in the Twin Cities and in other parts of the country as well. So while you may have very good connections at the virtual career fair, you may not get a job exactly from this, but I still think it's very worthwhile. And I will also say that some students do find internships and jobs at the career fair. It's not unheard of, but I do like to think about it as this is a chance for you to be thinking about expanding your network and learning more about employers. And networking itself is very important in the US and in terms of finding opportunities. We have this saying about most jobs being found in something called the hidden job market. And we think that about 70 to 80% of positions that are filled in the United States each year are found through the hidden job market, which just really means they're found through personal connections, through relationships that you already have with others. It doesn't mean that all jobs are found this way, but certainly as you go into your career, when you have several jobs later, as you go through your career as you're a professional, you'll probably be using your personal network quite a bit when you're trying to advance either within your current employer or looking for another position or even changing careers. So networking is an activity that I think is perfect to do at a career fair, especially the virtual career fair. So again, in this virtual environment, just as in an in-person environment, you're able to explore, get to know other companies, and you can even ask employers to follow up with you, or if you could follow up with them for a conversation, just to learn a bit more about what the company or employer is all about, what kinds of positions they're seeking, and to really ask your own very detailed questions. Before the fair, there's a couple of things I wanted to point out. So today we will talk a little bit about how to create and update your profile on Handshake and how to upload your resume, and also the importance of researching companies in advance so that when you meet with a company or a recruiter, you're able to articulate what you know about them. We will also spend a little time today talking about your introduction or your elevator pitch. And then as you can see here, I do have a link here, which I'll provide in the chat toward the end of our session today. We have a virtual career fair website here, which you can just find just by going to csE.umn.edu /college/virtual career fair. And you should be able to learn all kinds of information about how to prepare. There's a frequently asked questions page there, which should give you some very good information, some of which I'll be covering today. And again, I will share this link in the chat toward the end of the session. So before you go into the fair on October 7th, you do want to visit handshake.umn.edu. There's a couple things that I'm going to show you today about how to set up your profile. It's really important to make sure that your profile is completely up to date, because employers for the virtual fair are able to screen people based on some criteria, namely your major or your degree program if you're a graduate student, your GPA, and then the year that you're graduating. And I'll explain this a little bit more in just a moment. The sign up for individual appointments with employers will actually open this Friday, September 30th at 8 a.m. And it's a good idea to try to register as early as possible this Friday, because you want to get a chance to meet with some of these employers, especially those that are high on your priority list. There will also be a chance to sign up for something called a group session with an employer. So many employers will have opportunities where they meet with several students at once, and they'll talk about their company and the different kinds of opportunities that they have. And I'll show you that in just a moment. This is a screenshot of what Handshake looks like right now, and where you can find your profile section. So some of you may already have a profile set up, and it may be completed or it may not. But if you have not already set up your profile in Handshake, you'll want to hover over your picture over here, or your initials over here on the right side, and then go to My Profile section. And then you'll also want to check into your settings here to make sure that you are viewable by employers. When you go into your Handshake profile, there are several fields. It looks a little bit like LinkedIn. And one of the fields that you'll see here is your education section. So please do fill this out completely with your school name, so the University of Minnesota, whatever education level you're currently attaining, whether that's an undergraduate bachelor's degree or a master's degree or a doctoral degree. You'll want to include the College of Science and Engineering. And then it's very, very important to include something called your end date, which is the month and the year when you expect to graduate. And as I said before, your major or the field that you are in right now, and also your GPA. And like I mentioned before, if you don't have these fields completed, you may not even be able to see appointment times that employers have scheduled for the virtual fair, because they do screen by that. So take the time to set up your profile completely. You will also want to go to the settings, and I'll show you this again. So within the drop-down menu here, there is a settings, and select community. So you're visible to everyone, or select employers if you only want to be visible to employers. And the reason for this is if you would like to register for group sessions with employers, you need to have community or employers selected here, or you will not be able to even see the group employer information sessions that are occurring during the virtual career fair. So be sure to do that. I'm going to take a break from sharing this presentation right now, and I'm going to share with you a couple of different things here. So the virtual career website that I mentioned earlier, I'm just going to drop that in the chat for you so that you're able to look at that on your own time. And then I just wanted to show you the event in Handshake. So like I mentioned, it's handshake.umn.edu. You'll want to go to the events tab here, and there are a couple of other tabs as well. So if you're looking for a job or internship or co-op, you can always look at the jobs tab. But for this purpose, for the career fair, we want to click on events. And once you do that, it will, there we go. You'll see all kinds of events that are happening at the University of Minnesota, several different career fairs and different employer information sessions. You can either search for College of Science and Engineering in the search bar, and you should see the event, or you can just scroll down and you'll see it here in the list. So I'm going to click on the College of Science and Engineering Virtual Career Fair, and you'll notice right away that there's a gray button that says registration opens 9/30/22. And when registration does open, this will turn green, and you should be able to click on it and then register in advance for the event. Once you register for the event, you can start scheduling one-on-one sessions with employers. Also on this page, you're able to learn a little bit more about what you want to include in your profile, the things that I just mentioned to you, and other helpful tips to prepare. And also, I'll encourage you to look at the employers who are attending. So right now, it shows that we have 68 employers, and I think we're going to actually have a little more than 70. This is an important piece. So when we click on all employers, we're able to view all 68 employers if you'd like to. Or you could use some of these filters if you wanted to filter by industry or by internship, full-time job, or a specific location. You can also include a company name here if you'd like. I'm going to click on all filters. For anyone who's an international student, you might be interested in selecting accepts OPT and CPT, or will sponsor or doesn't require a US work visa when you're looking for companies of interest. So that's just one thing to note there. And you'll see as we scroll down here, there's all kinds of things you can filter on. So I'm going to, for this example, just filter on mechanical engineering to show you this. And I can see that there are 24 employers who are have that mechanical engineering filter. So I'll be able to see all 24 of them here. And as an example, Abbott is one company who is looking for mechanical engineering students. When we look at Abbott, we can see a few things. First, we see a little bit of information about who Abbott is, who they serve. You may be able to see something about the products that they deliver or that they create. And then you'll see the kinds of job types that they have available, including specific job titles, the kinds of students that they are open to right now, and that they accept OPT or CPT for international students, and the kind of sessions that they're attending. If you use Handshake regularly, then you may want to click on the follow button. And whenever something comes out about Abbott, you'll be able to see that when you log into Handshake right away. And I'd also encourage you, when you're looking at the employers, to not limit yourself to just this information. Click on the logo. So I'll click on the logo for Abbott. And once I do that, we're able to see their employer page here, which gives a lot more information, including information about students who have worked there in the past. So if you're interested in working for this employer, you'll be able to see a student's name. You can send them a message if you have questions about what it was like to work with this particular employer or what the hiring process is like. You're also able to see their website, a contact phone number, and then the name of the recruiter with this employer. So if you did have some questions about the career fair or wanted to send them a message ahead of the career fair to let them know that you would be there, you can do that. You can also follow them on any of these social channels if you'd like to be very well informed. There's also a piece here too where there are jobs at this particular employer that you can look at. So you can see jobs at Abbott in this example. And when I click on select all, I will be taken to the job page just for Abbott. And we can see that they're hiring for 10 different programs right now. And you're welcome to look at any of these, click on them, read a little bit about the role and understanding what they're seeking. And then when you do attend the career fair on next Friday, you're able to meet with the recruiter and say, I saw that you are hiring for a co-op for winter of 2023. I'm interested in talking with you more about that and sharing my experience. So conducting this employer research ahead of time is really important to do. And it won't take too much time, I don't think, especially if you do use these filters that I had mentioned previously. Okay, so getting back to the slides. Once you have used Handshake to register for the event and you've done some research on the employers, you'll also want to upload your resume to Handshake, and there is a place to do that in your profile. The reason you want to upload your resume is because you might be sharing that with the employer. And if you would like to apply for a job, internship, or co-op that you learn about, you can do that right away. Employers are also able to look at your profile and they can see your resume as well. So I have a couple of tips about a resume, just really briefly. You'll want to make sure that it's easy to read, that you have simple formatting. For most people, it would be one side of one page. We do have resume guides for examples, so you can definitely look at this link here that I've highlighted, which I'll share in the chat again toward the end of the session. We have templates for you if you're unsure about how to format your resume or how to update that. And then you're also able to have a resume review from a career counselor. We do have virtual drop-ins Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. You can find that information right on the front page of our website in terms of how to get involved in a drop-in each day. They're very good for resume reviews, especially if you only need a very quick 10 to 15-minute review. Once you are happy with your resume, again, you'll want to upload that to Handshake. And I would encourage you to do that well ahead of the fair next Friday, because we get a lot of resumes at the Career Center via Handshake. And when you upload your very first resume to Handshake, it will automatically be reviewed before you're able to apply to any positions. So we want to make sure that we have a chance to review your resume before the career fair. So I would say don't wait on uploading your resume. If you currently have a resume already uploaded into Handshake, you can update that resume if you'd like, and you don't need to wait for a resume approval from the Career Center. Okay, so once you have registered for the session and once you've uploaded your resume, you're able to schedule meetings with employers. And I just have this screenshot here to show you what this will look like. So in this example, we can see that with this employer called Sprinkle Dreams, there are 2 recruiters and they have their appointment times listed here. You'll have 10 minutes to speak with a recruiter, and you are able to go into the employer scheduling area and click on any of the buttons that work for you for a time. If you notice that there's a red dot next to any of these times, it means that you have another employer session scheduled at that time. You are able to only register for 1 session per recruiter, so you can't necessarily choose 12 p.m. and then 12:10 p.m. You're not allowed to do that. But just be sure that you're selecting one that would work best for you. You should also be able to see their host's name and their job title, and some of them even have majors listed or programs listed. So you want to be sure to look at their title and if they have any programs or majors listed, so you know which recruiter to speak with these different employers. With group sessions, so that's a situation where an employer will host a session. It's usually open to up to 50 attendees at a time. And it's a great chance just to learn a little bit more generally about what an employer is looking for and what kinds of positions that they're hiring for. So I think it's really helpful to look at the group sessions that are taking place. You can definitely register for that as well. And again, if you wanted to attend a group session, you need to select this community button within your profile visibility settings. Okay, so be sure to do that. Once you start scheduling things, you'll also find something called your schedule. So in this screenshot example, you can see that this will be your name and the date of the fair that you're attending. And then you can go to your schedule, and all of the sessions, the employer sessions and group sessions that you've listed for will be listed here. And this is also the page where you will be able to join all of your sessions. Okay, so they'll take place here in Handshake. You just click on the button. You can join your sessions about 5 minutes ahead of time and just wait for the recruiter to open the room for you, and then you can start your session with them. Many of you may not know what to say when you're meeting an employer, and that's fairly normal. I like to think about thinking about a conversation and building a connection when you're creating your introduction. You can see here on the image that there's an image of 2 elevators. Many of you maybe have heard of something called the elevator pitch, which is just really a way to introduce yourself at a career fair, either in person or in this virtual environment. When you go into your virtual room with the employer, they'll very likely introduce themselves with their name, and then that's your chance to say a little bit about yourself. So typically, you'll want to say something about what you're currently doing presently. So you introduce yourself with your name, what you like to be called. You might talk about the major that you're in or your degree program that you're pursuing, a little bit about your work experience, anything that's really relevant to what you're currently doing as it relates to the positions you're seeking. And then you might say a bit about your past. So a previous job or research experience you've had, or a prior internship, or even classes where you've picked up some skills. And then the future. So why are you interested in speaking to the recruiter that day? Why are you at the virtual fair? If you've looked at Handshake and you know they're hiring for a position, what is it about that position that you're interested in? So it's a good chance to be able to, like I mentioned earlier, articulate your knowledge of the company and what they're looking for. You can also ask a question then after you introduce yourself. And one really helpful thing to do with that employer research that I mentioned is to know like what they do and who they serve, and to be able to ask questions about current projects or current happenings within their organization. And I have a bit of an example here to show you. So an example introduction to talk about presently, or talk about you in the present could be, I'm currently a junior studying mechanical engineering. I'm also involved in the Society of Women Engineers as the group treasurer. Last semester, I worked part-time in a research lab within the mechanical engineering department while also working on the solar car project. My research experience taught me how to manage data collection related to hybrid vehicle use, while the solar car experience helped improve my problem solving and teamwork skills due to the collaborative nature of the project. I'm interested in the internship with your company because I'd like to apply my technical design knowledge to the products your company manufactures. That's why I'm here today. And I'm curious, I saw on Handshake that you are hiring a design intern. Are you able to tell me a bit more about that position and when you hope to interview? So that's just very brief. That probably took about 30 seconds to get out. And that's, I think, a helpful way to model what you might want to say. Um, you don't need to have something rehearsed in advance when you are, going into your meetings with an employer, but I would say you'll want to know what you want to talk about. So one advantage of a virtual career fair is that you can have some notes next to you. You can take some notes and say, okay, what would I like to say to this particular employer? If I'm meeting with 3M this day, I want to make sure that I tell them about my experience that relates to what they have to offer. I'm also going to be meeting with Caterpillar that day, and I want to be saying something about what I know about them too. So you can kind of tailor your introduction depending on the employer that you're meeting with at the fair that day as well. Logistically, during the fair, there's a few things to take note of. It's very common during a virtual fair to have your camera on, and also to make sure that you're able to be heard. So you'll want to test your camera and mic ahead of time. And if it's helpful for you to be heard, I do think that headsets offer better volume control for audio. So I would encourage you to do that. And do test your equipment beforehand so that you understand that everything's working well. When you are talking with a recruiter, it's okay to make eye contact with the camera so that you're mimicking what it would actually be like to make eye contact if you were in a one-on-one in-person session. You'll want to have a clean background or a virtual background that looks professional. So if you don't have a blurry background or a virtual background, just make sure that whatever is behind you is clean. So you shouldn't have an unmade bed behind you. You should, have maybe bookshelves or a plain wall, anything that's not distracting. We try to limit our distractions as much as possible in virtual environments. Many of us might be at home when we're meeting with these employers. And if you do get distracted by a roommate or a pet or another disturbance, it's okay to turn your camera and audio off for a moment and just excuse yourself, take care of the distraction, and then get back to your conversation as soon as you can. The libraries at the university also have rooms for you to reserve. And I will show you the website for the LibGuides library Zoom rooms, again, toward the end of our chat today. So you can schedule there if you would like a place that has very few distractions, and you can reserve in advance on the day of the career fair. I had mentioned this earlier, but one advantage of a virtual fair is that you can have your resume in front of you. You can have any notes available that you would like. One disadvantage, I think, is that we don't always know what's happening with our computers and our bandwidth. Be sure to turn off any apps on your device that you're using. Make sure that everything is closed so that you'll have enough bandwidth and that you can connect with people very easily and you won't be disrupted by internet issues. One other thing I wanted to mention here too is, during your conversation or at the end of your conversation, it's customary for you to ask the employer how best to follow up with them. Most of them may say, you can follow up with me via LinkedIn, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, or you can send me an email. Either way, but I would ask how to follow up. And I also just wanted to note that if a person tells you just to apply online, just do so and try not to be discouraged if they're saying, well, we're not actually hiring right now, because this is still, again, a conversation and a chance for you to get to know them. Many of these recruiters take notes on the people that they meet with during the fair and may be able to reach out to you or connect with you again if you reach out to them on LinkedIn or via email. The employers that we meet at the career fair do follow up with students. In fact, most employers plan to, I think the average is they plan to follow up with at least 10 students after the fair. This is for the in-person fair and the virtual fair. And I think most plan on following up with at least a couple students that they meet at the fair. Just another slide here on a professional appearance. So on the image on the left would be something to avoid if you can, to have the light coming behind you, which makes it hard to see this person. This is a much better example, I think, of having light coming from in front of you to illuminate you. Some people have a virtual background, but most of these people have very clean, uncluttered backgrounds with the camera at eye level for them. So in this image, the camera is below the person, you're kind of looking up. So make sure that your camera is positioned the way you want it to be. You are not going to be meeting with people in person for this virtual career fair, obviously, but you may be interviewing in person. We do have a resource for you if you're interested in attaining professional attire and you don't have the financial resources to acquire professional attire for your interviews or even for your workplace. So you can go to this link. It's our cse.umn.edu/career fair link. And you can fill out an application to apply for career attire. We partner with this organization called Ready for Success, and they do give professional clothing to students who demonstrate financial need. So it's simply a matter of filling out the online application, and then you'll be contacted if Ready for Success is able to help you. And there's another opportunity as well for professional attire for interviews. JCPenney in Roseville in the Rosedale Mall offers 30% off professional attire through October 30th. So all you would need to do is just text the word Gophers. Oops, sorry about that. Text the word Gophers to this number, 67292, and then you'll get a code for online shopping through October 30th. And again, to save that 30% if you are in need of professional clothing. So after the fair, it's important to send a thank you to employers that you're excited to speak with. You don't have to send a thank you to every employer, but I would encourage you to reach out either through LinkedIn or through an email and just remind them of who you are and about what you talked about that day, about what excited you about what you learned while talking with them at the virtual fair. And if you did apply for a position that they're hiring for right now, let them know you applied. If you are not interested in a position with them, or if they don't have any positions open, it's a good idea during this email or connection request to ask for an additional meeting or something called an informational interview, when you can ask them some questions, again, about what are they looking for in a candidate? When do they think they might be hiring? What kinds of qualifications are they looking for? So be sure to do that typically within 48 hours. Many of these employers might be getting in touch with students about interviews within about a day or two after the virtual career fair. So try to send your thank yous on the earlier side. After the fair is also a great time to apply for open positions if you have not already. You can use Handshake to look for positions, or of course, go to the company websites where you can find positions there as well. Find the company or find the particular recruiter you spoke with on LinkedIn and follow the company, connect with the recruiter if you'd like to. Keep in touch with the employers that you've spoken with. And if you don't hear back from someone right away after sending a thank you note or a connection request, you can follow up again maybe a week later and just check in about their timeline for hiring for a position that you may have talked about. After the fair is also a great time to prepare for interviews, which happen, like I mentioned, pretty quickly after the fair and on throughout the rest of the semester. The Career Center offers practice interviews for students. So you're welcome to schedule an appointment to go over career fair etiquette after the career fair, and also how to interview, how to answer particular questions, and how to make the best impression in an interview. We also know that employers schedule employer information sessions with students on Handshake, and I will show you how to find that as well. So within Handshake, if we go back to the events tab, you are able to, again, see all of the events that are going to be happening that are hosted within Handshake or hosted on campus. And you can go to the All Filters tab over here, and then select Info Session, then scroll down, and then also select College of Science and Engineering Career Center. So once we do that, we can look at our results, and we know that there are around 94 events that fit information session and College of Science and Engineering. And you can see them all listed here. Some of these information sessions will be taking place on campus. For example, the Optum Technology Careers event is occurring later on in October, and it will be happening at Recwell Center. Others are virtual. So just be sure to open these events, bookmark them, register if you're interested in them. And it's another really good way to get some face time with employers in addition to the career fair, outside of the career fair as well. Okay, so the last thing I just wanted to mention before I answer any questions that you might have is that we do have drop-in sessions again for very quick career questions or career fair questions. Our drop-ins are usually limited to about 10 to 15 minutes max in length, and they occur every Monday through Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. You can reach us by phone if you'd like to. You can certainly find a lot of information on our website. We also have this video, which I'm recording now, which will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, along with many other videos that we have on our YouTube channel related to career fair preparation, writing resumes, writing cover letters, interview practice, etc. And so at this point, I would like to open it up to questions, and I would also like to drop some of these links in the chat. So this first link here is going to be our resume page, where you can see some templates there and get some guidance on how to create your resume. And there's some resume samples. This next link that I'm putting in the chat is how to reserve space in the University of Minnesota libraries if you'd like a private space for the virtual career fair. And again, I think that's all the links that I have, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So feel free to put them in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions right now or hearing any questions. So I'm going to end the session, but please do stop by the Career Center for our virtual drop-ins. And I just want to show you where that is actually. So you can make sure you can find it here. So on our homepage for the Career Center, if we scroll down to the very bottom, there's a maroon link called Attend Virtual Drop-ins, which you are able to use. But I wanted to just thank you for being here today, and good luck at the virtual fair.